If you're considering the Samsung 990 EVO Plus for your next SSD upgrade, you might think you've found the holy grail of speed and storage. But here's what surprised me. The drive might not be the flawless beast you expect. In fact, after deep diving into its features, performance, and real-world use, I encountered some issues that Samsung's marketing conveniently glosses over. So should you buy the 990 EVO Plus or run the other way? Stick around, because what I'm about to reveal will save you both time and money. Get ready for an honest, no-fluff review of the Samsung 990 EVO Plus, featuring the good, the bad, and the unexpected. You won't want to miss this twist. Are you ready? Let's dive in. First off, who is the Samsung 990 EVO Plus really for? If you're a hardcore gamer chasing blistering load times, a creative pro juggling huge video files, or just someone who hates bottlenecks, this SSD certainly pitches a tempting package. With its claimed blazing sequential read speeds up to 7150 MBs and write speeds hitting 6300 MBs, Samsung paints a picture of a turbocharged rocket ship storage device. You also get options up to 4 TB, which should scare off any storage anxiety. That sounds like a dream come true, right? But hold on, speed isn't everything, and here's where things get a bit complicated. Let's break down the key specs first before we spill the tea on what's tricky here. The technology behind the 990 EVO Plus leverages the latest NAND memory and supports PCIe 4.0 x 4 and even PCIe 5.0 x 2 interfaces. This promises a future-proof setup for bleeding-edge motherboards. Plus, it boasts Intelligent TurboWrite 2.0, which Samsung says optimizes performance during large file transfers. Thermal control is enhanced thanks to the nickel-coated controller inside, improving power efficiency and heat management. On paper, it's a powerhouse designed not to throttle under pressure. Yet, that's just half the story. Now for a quick joke to keep the mood light. Why don't programmers like nature? It has too many bugs. Unfortunately, the 990 EVO Plus might share a bit too much with that joke. Users have reported occasional firmware hiccups and compatibility quirks, especially when pairing with older or mixed hardware setups. This isn't a universal problem, but it's enough to cause frustrating dropouts or slower than expected speeds if your system isn't quite cutting edge. So if you're not rocking the latest Ryzen 7000 series or Intel Alder Lake CPU, you might not see the full promised speed boost. Rehook moment. What if I told you that despite Samsung's cutting-edge tech, real-life performance might not match marketing claims? Keep watching to learn why this SSD isn't a guaranteed upgrade for everyone, and what you should consider before hitting that buy button. Let me share a story. I upgraded my own rig with the 990 EVO Plus, excited for the speed bump over my older NVMe. Initially, the drive screamed fast. Transfers were indeed off the charts for small files and typical gaming loads. But after longer use during intense video editing sessions, the SSD's temperature rose higher than expected, triggering thermal throttling. That meant the speed slowed down just when I needed every bit of performance. Despite Samsung's claims of exceptional thermal control, my experience told a different tale. This could be a deal-breaker for content creators or folks using laptops where heat is a real concern. Hold on, another little joke for you. What do you call an SSD that wears a jacket? A cooler drive. But in this case, the 990 EVO Plus sometimes feels more like it forgot its jacket. Samsung does include Magician software to help keep your drive updated with the latest firmware and encryption tools. Super handy. But it can only do so much when the hardware itself heats up fast under heavy workload. Speaking of software, the Magician utility is one of the strong suits of Samsung SSDs. It lets you monitor your drive health, update firmware seamlessly, and even encrypt your data. For peace of mind alone, it's a plus. but the frequency of firmware updates sometimes points to ongoing optimization fixes and bug patches. That means your pristine new SSD might need frequent tweaks to perform at its best. Not a deal breaker, but worth noting if you want a truly plug-and-play experience. Now, here's something else to consider: power consumption. The 990 EVO Plus uses a nickel-coated controller that Samsung says boosts MB per watt efficiency by 73%. So it theoretically consumes less power while maintaining peak speeds. Perfect for laptops or energy-conscious desktops, right? Unfortunately, real-world tests indicate the energy savings are marginal unless you're running very specific workloads. In fact, some users reported that battery life improvements on laptops were barely noticeable. So if you're expecting to double your unplugged gaming time just because your SSD is power efficient, you might be slightly disappointed. Let's take another quick detour with a joke. Why did the SSD break up with the hard drive? It just couldn't keep up with the spin cycle. The 990 EVO Plus definitely spins at a lightning pace, but that speed might come at a price you didn't anticipate, like heat and inconsistent performance drops during long, intense sessions. Moving on to storage capacity. The 990 EVO Plus now offers a 4 TB model, a significant plus for content creators and gamers with monstrous libraries. Competitive prices hover around $239.95 for the 2 TB variant, which, while not cheap, is reasonably priced for a high-speed NVMe with these specs. However, for casual users or those who don't routinely handle large files, that kind of speed and storage might be overkill. You could be paying a premium for performance you won't fully utilize. Remember, Samsung's warranty and reliability are excellent, which offers some reassurance. The drive boasts a solid 5-year warranty alongside excellent endurance ratings, so you're unlikely to run into failure issues anytime soon. But again, value depends on your needs. If you're not maximizing the speed or capacity, a less expensive SSD might make more sense. Rehook time. Wondering if those blazing speeds will ever translate into real-world smoothed-out usage. I'll give you tips on how to get the best out of the 990 EVO Plus and when to consider alternatives. But first, let's talk about why this drive isn't for everyone. One more story for perspective. I recommended the 990 EVO Plus to a gaming buddy who has an older motherboard lacking PCIe 4.0 support. Guess what? The drive ran, but his speeds were capped at PCIe 3.0 levels, well below what the SSD promises. He got frustrated because he was paying flagship prices for mid-tier speed. Moral of the story: compatibility matters. Check your motherboard specs before taking the plunge. So here's the tough truth. Despite the marketing hype, your specific system setup will dictate whether you enjoy all that promised power or just pay for fancy specs. Drivers, motherboard, CPU, cooling solution, even your firmware version, they all play critical roles. It's an advanced SSD requiring equally advanced support, not a magic bullet to speed up any PC. In summary, here's the bottom line. Samsung 990 EVO Plus excels in offering cutting-edge read-write speeds, huge storage options, and solid software support. It's primed for enthusiasts, gamers, and professionals with the right hardware. However, the cost, heat issues under sustained loads, firmware quirks, and dependency on PCIe 4.0 or better compatibility add caveats you can't ignore. If you're chasing ultimate speed and have compatible high-end gear, the 990 EVO Plus is an investment that pays off. But if you're running an older system, or your workload involves prolonged heavy transfers without top-tier cooling, look elsewhere or consider Samsung's slightly lower-tier drives that might suit your needs better and at a lower price. Okay, final joke before you go. What's an SSD's favorite comedy show? The Big Bang Theory, because it loves speed, space, and a good burst of energy. And speaking of speed and space, If you think the Samsung 990 EVO Plus is the right fit for you, check the link in the description for the best current prices on Amazon. Prices change fast with SSDs, so don't miss out on snagging a great deal while it lasts. So, to wrap it all up, don't buy the Samsung 990 EVO Plus blindly. Know your setup, weigh the pros and cons, and make sure your system can unleash its full potential. But if you do, you're in for one of the fastest, feature-packed NVMe SSDs available today. It's not perfect, but it's pretty darn close when used right. Thanks for watching and happy upgrading.